Okay, we are now recording. Start over. Take two.
All right. So, are you going to? I'll just tell you when to forward the slide, then, right?
Yep. You just tell me when to go forward the slides.
Okay. So again, it's a pleasure to be able to speak with you because I know you're all entrepreneurs or thinking about your business, and I have a lot of good information, and I'm excited to kind of give you some tips. I'll talk to you a little bit about what we do, what I've done. And also I want to spend most of the time on you answering your questions because you guys you sent in some great questions, so I really appreciate that. Okay, first slide. My name is Bruce Walters, and I call myself an artistpreneur, which is partly an artist or creative and partially a business person, because with any business, I feel like you have to have kind of both brains. There's the left and the right parts. I just want to do a quick sound check. Can you guys hear me okay? Do I need to be louder? Is it fine?
We're great on volume, Bruce, and actually the video is great right now too. We're perfect.
Okay, great. Okay, you could forward.
Okay.
So my promise to you today is I'm going to show you how to have success in your business. I'm going to give you some techniques that you'll be able to use right away and make a difference tonight. Okay, next slide.
Okay.
So I just want to kind of get an idea of who I'm speaking to. How many of you guys want to start your own business?
I'm gonna pan a little bit for you here, okay. Bruce. Can you see?
Yeah, that looks like about half the class. And then how many already have the business?
Can you see the hands?
Yeah. Okay.
Derica, can you wave quick?
Hey, I can see you in the back.
Derica is the one that has the apparel business in particular, Bruce.
Okay, awesome. And what I'm going to talk to you about, I focus in apparel and the creative industries. However, what I'm going to talk to you about, some of the things will apply to you, whatever business you're doing. So I think we can have something for everybody. Okay, so and the third question is, how many of you want to work for a business and you don't want to necessarily have your own business?
Okay, we got a few hands there, Bruce.
Okay, awesome. Because as any business needs the leaders or the people who run the business, and the business needs the people who manage and handle it and do every part of the business is important, and everyone plays different roles. So I think that's awesome. And also sometimes it's better. You might be better suited to be like the number 2 or 3 or 5 person in the company than having all the responsibility of having your own business. So I think we have all different types of people here, which is awesome. And I've done all 3 things as well. Okay, you could forward to the next one.
Okay.
So my question to you, and I'm sure you guys have been thinking, how do I actually get started with having a business? And I want to tell you that everybody's unique. Some of us maybe we grew up with parents or role models who were entrepreneurs, and maybe other people don't know anyone who has a business, and everybody might just work and have a job and just be getting by. And it doesn't matter where you come from or what your experience is or how you grew up. Everybody in America has the capacity to start and run a business. So I think we can all be kind of relieved and happy and excited that at least we might not know how to do it right now, but at least we know that that's the possibility for you. And so I just want to briefly touch on my story and how I came to this point. So my story in fashion and entrepreneurship starts when I was 15 years old, and a friend of my father's gave me a pair of pants. He gave me like 5 pairs of pants, and they were all too long. So what I did was I had to sew in school back when we had to learn sewing. So I used my aunt's machine, and I was doing alterations. And then my dad's other friend saw me, and he said, "Hey, I'll give you like $5 to hem my pants." And I said, "Ooh, I can make some money doing this." So I started doing alterations for people. And then 2 years into it, my mom bought me a sewing machine when I was 17. And then I said, well, let me try to make a pair of pants. So long story short, I made a pair of pants. The pockets were backwards the first time, but then I made mistakes and I fixed it. And then I started selling them to my friends in high school. And at that point, I wasn't serious about it. I was going to college for engineering. So I went to college and I kind of found that we had fashion shows every year, and I entered in the fashion show, and I got connected And then I started meeting models and photographers, and I would go to the fabric store and get fabric, and then I was getting credit, and I would just take orders and sell clothes to people. They could pick out, I had like 7, 8 designs. They could pick out the fabric they want, and then I would have somebody make it, or I would make it. And so I did that business throughout my school, and then 2 years into it, when I was 19, that's when I found my passion, because I used to work when I would come home out of my grandmother's basement, and I would just be, I remember the moment that I found my passion. It was like 3, 4 in the morning, and I was just, in my laboratory, as I'm sure many of you get into your zone, and time goes so fast, you don't even know what day it is. So I was making these pants, and then this feeling overcame me, and it was just me and God at 4 in the morning, and tears came down my face, and I said, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And in that moment, it changed my life, because I knew that I was doing the right thing, because I wasn't really a normal stereotypical like designer. I was into sports and girls in high school, and we played sports every day with my friends. So to go and say I'm not going to go play basketball or football, I'm going to go make a skirt for my girlfriend, it's not the normal thing, but I had no choice. It was a talent that was given to me. So I really want to emphasize that if something comes to you and you just feel wonderful and awesome and great, and you do it and time stands still, then that could be your passion, or at least something you're supposed to do and pursue. So that's a very important point. So as far as stories, so then I finished school. I kind of worked on my own for about a year, and I sold clothes to the kids and people, and I would do shows and things like that. And so then I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I was doing it, but I didn't have any formal training. So I grew up in Philadelphia. I moved to Los Angeles, and I got connected with the industry, because I didn't really want to pursue engineering, because the fashion was in my heart, and entrepreneurship. So I moved here with an engineering degree, but a love for fashion. So I just had to find my way, and I made phone calls and tried to find out knowledge and information, because I didn't necessarily want to go back to school for 2 or 4 years. So I ended up getting a few jobs and learning the business that way, and I worked for about 3.5 years for companies, and I said, okay, it's time to go on my own. I have connections. I know how it works now. So I packed up everything, saved up like $4,000, went to Europe for 3 months, and just kind of went to some fashion shows. I studied some of my history. My grandma comes from Italy, so I studied some history, and then when I came back, I started working on my own, and I freelanced for a few years, built a business, and then I started A+ Patterns in 2002, and so that's kind of how I leveraged my experience and knowledge in the technical aspect, and I started a business. The reason was because my goal is to be a designer and have my line and to be world famous, and it's still the same goal. The reason I have gotten into the technical part initially was because I was trained on the software, so I knew how to do like the technical sketches and the patterns, and I wanted to learn how to run a business and deal with employees and use the connections that I had. So we built the business up, and it was very successful, and we had 10 people, and it was doing really well. We would help designers do their lines and produce. And so then we went through a transition with the economy, and we started scaling back. And actually, I had this idea in 2007 to become a virtual company and do training and consulting. And so now that's what our focus is. We build it into a consulting company. We have over 500 clients that we've helped develop their lines. And so it's very exciting, because we're kind of moving. We were able to change with the times and leverage the technology that we have today to do this type of thing, which is the point right now where I'm sitting here talking to you using Skype. And so we can basically reach the world with the technology and with the knowledge and the information. And then we have Los Angeles, which is we have access to everything that we need. So we can get things done from A to Z, and then we can film it and show the rest of the world. So that's my story. Now my question to you is, what's your story? Because when you deal with marketing a product, really what people are interested in is as a customer is who's behind the brand, what's your story, how did you get this idea, where did it come from, and now kind of behind the scenes, like they want to see what you're doing and how, like who you're meeting with, like on a day-to-day, and it's kind of how things work now. So the story is so important in marketing and building your brand. So that's why I kind of wanted to take a minute and show you how I've evolved, because now maybe one or two or some more of you might connect to pieces of my story, and you might be more interested in what we have to offer you as a customer. So that's another very important point is story. So you can go to the next slide, Jeremy.
Okay, I just did.
Okay, so I want to go through a few important points of business in general, and then I'll give you our specific strategy and how we work with clients, and then we'll get to questions. So before you might have an idea for a business, any type of business, whether it's fashion related or product related or service. When you go through operating your business and trying to navigate, whether you kind of have a strategy or not, it's not the easiest thing. I mean, if you go and get a job and you work for a company, you get paid every week or every 2 weeks, you can usually rely on the company that, you're going to have a job, it's going to be easy, you can depend on the paychecks. When you have a business, there is no Friday paycheck. If you do your job, you might get paid. If you don't do your job, you probably won't get paid. And it's important to put your employees and your team first, though usually you're the last one to get paid. Now, there is a risk, but there's also a great reward in that. And so my question to you is, why do you want to do this business? Because, I know that as usually kids have dreams and they want to be, a superhero, or they want to be, a doctor, or be a millionaire or a billionaire. And so as we learn things and we have these challenges that come up, I think sometimes we get maybe a little afraid and we build up these barriers and think that it's not possible. But really, what gets you moving to your success is understanding within what your reasons why are, because if you have a strong enough reason why you're doing something, there's nothing that can stop you. So that's point number 3, very important in whatever you do, is understand why you're doing what you're doing. And stay connected to that. What we do when we work with our clients is we kind of start out, we're not talking about fashion or the latest design, we're talking about your motivation and connecting images, write your goals down, maybe have pictures. I started actually doing videos of my goals now because I've learned video editing the past few years for what we're doing. And so now whenever I'm inspired, I'll pull a video and just look at it every day, and then it kind of keeps me connected to my goals. But I've had a book for over 10, 15 years that have images of my goals in it, all different types of goals. So I feel like that's a really important starting point for most people. And you might not want to write your goals down or do these kind of things. These are just suggestions, and it's been proven if you do write your goals down, there's a higher chance you'll have success. And the other thing is when you have a business and you bring on a team, whether it's a web designer, whether it's an assistant, or even investors, if you sit down with them and say, hey, I have a plan, and actually this is why I'm doing this. Here's my goals. When I was 5 years old, one of my clients, she wasn't, she has an athletic kind of a line, and she wasn't really encouraged. She grew up in another country. She wasn't encouraged that women could be strong and athletic, and so now she's starting a business to create clothing to make women feel empowered and the strength as they're doing the sport. So that's a strong reason why, because it's really deeply embedded into her soul. And so that's what I'm talking about. There's hopefully we don't have to have trauma that we're trying to overcome, but in a lot of cases there are a lot of challenges people have had or traumatic experiences, and it causes them to create a business to help people, which is good in the end. And then communicating that your vision and your mission and your goals to people who you work with, so you're all on the same page. Okay, you can go to the next slide.
Okay.
Okay, so now the question is how to make it great, because we can all do something that, is probably okay and decent. But if you want to be the best and you want to make it great and awesome, here's 5 tips. So start with what you have. And this is really important. This is something I've had to learn over the past couple of years, because I want everything to be awesome, but then sometimes I don't follow these 5 steps. So number 1, start where you're at with what you have. If you have the idea, and this is my belief, if you have an idea for something, whether it's a product or a service, you already know how to do it. You already have everything that you need to do it because the idea came to you. So you might not know how to execute, but you just have the confidence that you can get started today. And then number 2, create your version 101 quickly, meaning it's not going to be perfect. Just look at the iPhone 1. Now nobody would want that because we're on, 7 now. So, but if you don't put your version 1 out and get feedback, you're never going to know. And if you wait too long, you might miss the market. So number 3 is to get it in the hands of customers or potential customers and then test it. So that process has to come quickly so that you can keep the momentum going. And the opposite of that would be like you go to a 3-month retreat and work on building this beautiful product for 8 hours a day, and then 3 months later you kind of put it out to the people and everybody hates it. Well, you just wasted 6 months, whereas if you could have taken 3 days, put kind of a rough sketch together and got in front of 5 or 10 people or even 2 people, and they gave you suggestions that you wouldn't maybe see, then at least now you're further ahead. So that's the point. And number 4 is get feedback, and number 5 is just repeat steps 3 to 5 until it's at a point where you're ready to put it out on a larger scale. So that's point number 4. That's very important, and I think that's the number 1 thing that I had to learn is just put it out. Even if you're scared or a little fearful, like for me, I start sweating under my armpits when I'm a little nervous. Then that's when that's what you're supposed to do, because the fear is there not for you to stop, but for you to go after it. And then once you do that, you do something that you're a little scared of, the next time it's easier, and you say, oh my God, why didn't I do this, last week or last month or last year? Or if you keep waiting, you might say, why didn't I do this 10 or 20 years ago? And that's what I don't want for anybody, because I've done that with certain things, and it's not nobody who's successful has just waited and waited. They put it out, made themselves vulnerable, and put it out and gotten feedback, and then made it better. And then that's part of your duty and part of your initiation for being successful. Okay, next slide.
Okay. Next
slide. So once you once you kind of have an idea of maybe a product, or maybe you kind of have a group of people that you kind of work with and that they need a product, in either case, it's really important to know your customer. I learned this from many different sources. I think the first one was Magic Johnson. When I went to see him speak, he talked about his when he had his movie theaters, and he said, we want extra hot dogs and extra like jalapenos and all that kind of stuff. And the guys in corporate, they weren't in Los Angeles in that specific neighborhood, so they didn't know the neighborhood like he did. And so he proved them wrong, and because they sold out of hot dogs and jalapenos and everything. So the point was, understand your customer. And when you're building a product, if you match your product and your solution with the customer, then you have a really good chance of success. So I have a few tips here. Build a profile on your customer. And you might not know everything about the customer. It's just important to kind of start from somewhere. So let's say you have a women's clothing line, a women's athletic clothing line. So, it could be, let's say it's targeted to a certain kind of, you can use demographics like age, income, location. Also, we call it psychographics, so understand their lifestyle, like what do they do for fun, where do they hang out, where do they like to go on vacation. It's more of a lifestyle. Do they have kids? Do they go to the park? Where do they vacation? Do they like this snowy, cold weather? Do they like the warm weather? Do they surf? All these different things that are small distinctions. However, they're very important, because if you understand where your customer is and what they're doing, then you're going to know, first of all, the product features to add, and you're also going to know how to reach them. And then that brings me to the other point, know where they hang out, not only online but offline. So they might, like the Facebook or Snapchat, or they might be on, Instagram, and it just kind of depends on. There's a certain demographic usually on each type of social media, so you can research that a little bit, and then try to put a name to this person. We do an exercise called a customer avatar exercise. So I personally, for my service brand, my education, I had 3 different avatars of people who want to start a line. One is a woman who's married. It's really interesting. Once I did this exercise, I started drawing in the exact person, like the woman who's 35 with 1 kid who's married, who's a professional, who makes $70,000 a year and has $20,000, $30,000 saved. They just started coming. And then I have another avatar that's a little bit younger. She's a designer, she's creative, but she doesn't necessarily like the business side. And then I have a male avatar who's kind of like a crazy guy. He's a surfer, he lives in a van, he's like does movies, and he wants to do a clothing line. I mean, I don't know. I pulled these from different customers and people I knew. So I'm building. I have names for them. I build a profile, and so when I speak and create content and create marketing, I'm speaking to these people, these specific people, and then the masses will kind of fall into one of those areas. So that's also very important to just identify this customer. And when you're working on your marketing, you're really speaking to one person. And that's important, because if you're speaking to everybody, they say you're speaking to nobody. So if you're talking and you say, hey, I want all of you to listen, versus, hey, Sally, do you lie awake at night wondering how you're going to make your mortgage payments? And so that makes it very personal. And so just remember, you're speaking to one, but that one represents millions. And it's almost like stepping into their mind, like an actor will go and study a character and kind of like get into that person and mimic their body language, and maybe go to where do it like a typical day where your customer hangs out. Go to the movies, go out to the club or whatever, and listen to certain music or whatever, and then just kind of put yourself in their life, in their mind, in their body. So know your customer. Okay, you can go to the next slide.
Okay.
And get attention. So once you understand your customer and you have your product, you want to get their attention. So obviously, if you have something great, but you're not reaching your customers. Now, television. How many people watch TV nowadays versus like watching like YouTube or Hulu or Netflix? Would you say, let's see by a show of hands, how many people like to watch TV programs? Not too many?
I only see a couple hands, Bruce.
Okay.
And how about Hulu and Netflix and so forth?
Okay.
Yeah, a lot more, you see.
Okay, so the point is, we're going through a massive transition now from what it used to be from radio to TV, where people were kind of resistant to make the change. And now it's going from television to the internet. So if you're doing like magazine ads or television ads, or presenting your product where people are not anymore, then you're wasting dollars. But if you're doing social media ads, Facebook ads, depending on what you're doing, that seems to be like the best value right now, the Facebook ads and the videos. So just understanding where they are and speaking their language. So that's really key. You can go to the next slide.
Okay.
Okay, so learning how to sell is also a key. And some people have a little bit of, I guess, an apprehension of selling, and it depends on how you look at it. The way that what selling really is, it's just helping a customer with your solution. It's not, you don't have, they either want it or they don't, and your marketing's going to bring them in. and you're just understanding a little bit more about them and helping them to get what they need. So picking the right solution. And if it's not for them, that's also part of the process. Everyone's not going to want what you have, so you're filtering the customers who wouldn't be good customers anyway. But you need to get in front of them and get their attention so that you can have these conversations. And also important to listen to what they say, how they say it, because sometimes what people say isn't really what they mean, but your body language tells a lot. Your tone is going to tell them a lot. And then just believe in your product. I used to sell in college security systems, and I didn't really believe in it, and I didn't sell any. And then I would sell my clothing line, and people would say, wow, you have such a passion for this. And so it's a huge difference. So passion really means a lot. Okay, let's go to the next point is focus on the finance. And now this is something, there's a lot of different pieces to your business. So I'm not saying that you have to be the master at all of these. It's helpful to have either a partner or a consultant or someone who can help you with the areas where you don't want to do, don't like to do, or not good at. So nobody's really good at everything. However, a business needs finance, it needs production, it needs development, it needs marketing. So it has to get done, but it doesn't have to be you. So we can go to the next slide. Your resources are very important. Now, you guys are all in school. I love college. I was in college for 10 years. I actually went back to school, and I took all the fashion and business and real estate and visual communication and art classes, so I have that foundation. I did it afterwards. So I love school. Also, you can get your knowledge at like seminars and workshops and events, online trainings, and then using your network. So that's what I built up over almost 20 years in LA. I have a network now of people who I can get whatever I need done as far as apparel quickly because I know the people. And so that's kind of what we help our customers with. We save you all that time because we connect you directly to the vendors, and we kind of make sure that they're good and they're reliable. And so that is something that maybe you could use your connections. Maybe you have a few connections, and maybe you might have to buy some of the other resources from. They have directories, and they have there's consultants that can connect you with those people. So it speeds up the process. Okay, next slide. So what I do as Bruce Walters, I'm involved in a couple different things. A+ Patterns is my company, and we do line development. So if a designer has a line and they want to get it done, we can put it together for them. We also do the live consulting. So if you have no idea how to get started, if you're from another business, we can help you from the idea in your head to samples in hand, and we take you through. We deal with all the pieces that get you to where you need to go successful. And then also we have online courses. So we've taken our 14 years in business, and we've created modules and trainings that show you how to do each part of it. So you can do it on your own through an online video course, or you can do it live with a live consultant. And live meaning it can be on the phone. If you're in LA, we can meet live, or we can do like the phone or Skype and walk you through every part of it. And I'm also, this is a new thing, it's we've created an online resource directory, and it's called Sourcing Sync. I'm doing this with a partner, and it's in beta now. The site's up. You guys can check out sourcingsync.com, but we're still populating it. So that is a source for people who need help developing lines. So there's fabric, trim vendors, consultants, pattern makers, and things like that. And that's a free directory for now, so we're offering that to everybody. It's going to be focused in Los Angeles. And then we're doing a podcast as well. So we'll have conversations with designers and people who are like production managers, just things that happen in normal day-to-day life with being in business. So we're very excited about that. So that's going to be coming. Stay tuned. You can I'll give you the contact info so you can keep in touch and ask about that if you're interested. And maybe we can interview some of you guys as well on the podcast if you have your business or as you're growing. So we're definitely open to keeping the conversation going. And So now I want to finish with our process, and then I'll get into the questions. So we help you start to grow your fashion business, and we have 4 different parts to it. So market mastery is where we help you from your idea. We kind of look inside, as I was talking to you about, like your goals and your reasons, and then we take a look at the market. So you have an idea for a product. So do you understand who you hang with, is what we call it in the industry, meaning in the store shelves, like who are you hanging next to? So we'll look at the competition, understand what they're good at, and then we can figure out, what our advantage is going to be. We call it USP, or competitive advantage. Why do we want to offer something that's a better solution? So we work on that, and then we take a look at our team, who you might need to help to facilitate this idea, and once we have that down, and we look at the price points and the quality and everything like that. So once we figure out, okay, this makes sense to do the business the way we want to do it, then we go in and we design it around the price. We design it around our research. So the research says our competitors are using this type of fabric, the retail price is this much, so we kind of design using those parameters. So it makes the design job easier because we have all this data to start with. So, which is good because you don't have to be like an awesome designer. You're just taking the data and the information and creating your line. And then once we have the line developed or sketched out and the ideas, then we go into the technical part of it, which is the working on the measurements and the basic functionality, and then we get into the patterns and the cut and sew and the fitting. And then the 4th part is the finance. So the finance doesn't come at the end. We work in finance in all different areas. So there's finance from day 1, and then we also, at the end of it, we do a projection, like our forecasting, which is the first-year plan. So that's kind of what we're offering through live consulting and through our online courses. Now, I wanted to just give you kind of a little insight on what we've been doing in the past few years with all this technology we have. So you can go to the next slide where it says marketing funnel.
Okay.
So at first when I looked at this, it was very it was a lot to deal with. And what it is we take a look at the customer. Have you guys worked on the customer journey yet, when the customer goes through a certain process?
We haven't talked too much about that, Bruce, so go ahead.
Okay, so there's like a buyer's journey. So when they come to you, they're not necessarily going to buy immediately. You have to kind of go through and romance them for a while. So we kind of mapped out like the different scenarios when a customer is going to come. It's either sometimes they're just looking for information, other times they already have the info and they're just trying to make a decision, and then they also can come to you after they've done the research and then they're ready to buy. So you have to understand how they come to you and have kind of information to lead them along the journey. So this is what we do in our marketing funnel, and then you can go to the next slide.
Okay.
So there's different programs, and I know one of the questions was about technology. So there's email marketing programs where you can preset the emails that you're going to send out, and then you can it has the intelligence so that if they don't open it, you can send it again. If they do open it, you can send them into the next email in the series, and then you can do your giveaways, and you can offer them products, or you can just continue to send out information and understand if they're going to open it, if they're interested, and have them interact. So it's really awesome where the technology has gotten to, and you can go to the next page. So our process is we take them to a web form if they're interested. They fill out a questionnaire. And then once they fill it out, you can go to the next slide, discovery meeting. So if they're interested, then they can watch a video that tells them more about what we do. So this kind of it could save you time, depending on what your business is. It could save you time from answering the phone from a cold call to answering all the preliminary information that someone could get, by watching a video. And then if you get them interactive by having them fill out a basic form. So now when you talk to them, they're already at a different level where they understand what you do, what you offer, and they're more interested and more likely to take the next step. So this is where a little bit of automation and a little intelligence comes into play so that you can take them further into the journey and maximize your time. Okay, I'm running out of battery, so I'm trying to move quick. So the next slide is online course, and that's just what we offer. Is we have all of the training. This is module 1, which is the market research. So we take you through identifying your goals, your motivation, your mission and vision for the business, and then we research and we do an analysis and figure out where we want to position the brand. And at the end of that, I've created something called a leverage list, where it takes all the activity that you do in a typical day. It assigns a value. I mean, not a typical day, but in your business, it assigns a value to that activity, and it really helps you to see, like, okay, what should I do and what should I hire out? So, for example, if you're selling, you could make thousands of dollars an hour of worth your time in selling. If you're writing emails, or if you're like answering phone calls or doing an admin job, it could be like a $10 or $15 an hour activity. So you have to really look at where you're spending your time. And I know in the beginning you might not have staff or anything, but if you just take a look, at least you'll be aware that, okay, now I'm going to do sales calls, so I can do, for 1 hour of sales calls, that's like a week worth of doing the admin work. So let me make sure I schedule these, the sales calls in, every day, so I can make my money, and then eventually you can hire someone out. But if you continue to do jobs that are at a lower value, you might never be able to bring in enough income to hire somebody. So that's really important. So we end the training with the summary, and it gives you kind of a plan. We have a template where you can just plug in. It asks you questions. You can plug in, and you have your marketing plan. So just a few stories. We have two clients I want to talk about. So you can fast forward to Angie, if you would. So Angie was one of our clients. And she had an idea for a business. She lives in San Diego. She's a teacher, so she didn't really have garment industry experience, but she was good with graphics, and she could sew a little bit. So if you go to the next slide. So we took her through our consulting program, and she learned very fast, and she had some people that could help her with video and things like that. So she ended up doing very well, and she's doing photo shoots. She did a Kickstarter campaign and raised over $14,000 for her brand. And so, it was a little bit of work, on our part and her part. And it's really exciting though when you put in the work, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and then you end up, getting the funding, and you're getting exposure. And now she just did a fashion show in New York. So, very exciting. And then the next one is Dami. He's in Miami. If you forward, can you forward one more?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So Dami, he's a professional as well. He's from Africa and wanted to do like Western style apparel using the fabric from his homeland. And he also has a charity, so he donates a part of his income to help the kids in Africa, because unlike us, they have to pay for public school for their uniforms and things like that. So he's doing something really, I love working with people like this, because they're not just in the business to be a billionaire or a millionaire. They want to help people with their art, and they also want to contribute to the people who are less fortunate. So, I work day and night to help people like that, even more than, everyone else who wants to be wealthy, which is that's awesome as well. So Dami, he's doing good. He's really good with marketing and promotion. He's doing fashion shows. He's doing like golf promotions, and he's always marketing. And the company's called Akanbi, A-K-A-N-B-I. If you want to hit him up on Instagram, he's all over there. And so now that's pretty much what we do. And I know there's a lot of information. I just wanted to give you as much as I could in the short time we have. I'll tell you at the end how to connect with me. But I wanted to answer your questions, and I know we probably don't have a lot of time. But let's start asking a few questions.
So, Bruce, you've got the questions I sent you. Let's start with a question from Derica, who's Derica, can you wave again?
Hey.
The one who's starting her apparel company in this class. When you first began, what was your biggest obstacle you had to overcome, and what encouraged you to continue afterwards?
Well, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know anything. I started making pants, and they were, backwards and too small. So I just loved what a business could bring. I was able to be social, with people, and I could use my creativity, and then I could solve problems, and then I could also use like my mathematical engineering kind of background to do the patterns and the shapes, and it was just, even though I didn't know what I was doing, I loved it so much that I just had to do it. I had to keep pushing forward and just moving forward and doing it and trying, and it worked out because people were buying it and they liked it, and so that's what kept me moving forward. At first, that was my main obstacle, and then now, after I kind of got into business and started my business, going through the challenges that we have, the real what keeps me going is my reasons why, because I believe that I've been blessed with many talents, and when I use my talents, I think it helps the world, and it gives me a great feeling of accomplishment in that I'm not wasting my time. I try not to do things that are not moving me forward and helping me to grow and helping the people around me. So there's part of it is like my talents and living my dream, and also helping other people who may need support, encouragement, and a guide to follow their dreams, because that's it. It's all about the dream.
Bruce, another question from Axel, who is also looking at starting his own clothing line. How do you start building a following? Axel, you want to wave quick, by the way, too?
Hey, Axel. Yeah, that's a really good question. I can tell you, that's not my expertise per se. That's what my main focus has been for the past few years, because I can develop a line and do the design and do all that stuff in my sleep. But really what's important is building a following and having a steady stream of customers. So what I would say is going back to your target customer, understanding who they are, how to reach them, and then figuring out a way to get in front of them that works for you, because we all have different means, abilities, and resources. So you might not run a Super Bowl ad for $6 million for 30 seconds on day one, but you might be able to hit them on the social media, or you might be able to get in front of organizations that represent your clients. So let's say, what's your business? Okay, so let's say you're doing a clothing line, and you want to do live appearances to at events where your people are going to be. So it could be a trade show, and maybe you don't have $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 to do a trade show, but you could share a space, you could partner with someone, you could go and create like promotional items, just getting in front of the buyers, and then also going to maybe the neighborhoods where they're selling. So you might want to go to a few neighborhoods and start pitching it to stores, and then finding out, hey, what events happen in the neighborhood. Maybe there's they have markets and fairs, and maybe the hair salon's doing an event, or all the businesses are going to be doing an event, or some kind of festival where you can get in front of the people and just talk to customers live and find out what they want and what's needed, and where kind of where you need to be. So between online and offline, it's just a matter of take an hour or two every day and just start watching where people are, and joining maybe Facebook groups, and just listening to the conversations people have, and start getting involved in the dialogue, maybe answer a few questions, and start letting people know that, hey, you have kind of a solution to what they're looking for, So, and also you can connect with the brand that's related to you. So let's say, what type of clothing are you doing? Okay, so streetwear. So you might want to connect with someone who does music, or someone who's bands, or someone who DJs, or maybe someone who's doing like the footwear, or someone who does the jewelry. So you're not competing with them, but they're all marketing to the same customer, and they might already have the network set up. And then you can offer, hey, I have clothing, so it enhances your brand, and then I'm going to help, I'm going to get more exposure to my brand. So you don't have to feel like you're all by yourself. you can connect with people who are a little bit more established.
Bruce, I'm gonna pull up another question here, and then I'm gonna run out of the room quick. So you need to take about 5 minutes at least to answer before I get back. Okay?
All right. You want to ask me 2 questions just in case?
Sure, sure. The first one is, do you keep up with global fashion trends? If yes, do you take trends into consideration when helping businesses? That's the first one. And then I've got there's several questions in here that ask in different ways. Is your passion for business or is your passion for clothing?
Yeah, I like that one. Okay.
So answer those 2. I will be back very shortly.
Okay, so as far as global fashion trends, that's a good question, because what my philosophy was when I started is that, fashion is it can be very volatile, and something could be hot one minute and cold the next. And so my business, I want to last, and I want to mitigate or minimize my risk. So I can't guarantee certain things, such as I guarantee we can design a line that's going to sell, or I can't guarantee you'll get sales at all. What I can guarantee is that when you have a business, whether it's fashion or any business, there's certain things that need to happen in order to make your business successful. So that's kind of how we build our business, around sound principles of business. Because as the trends change and evolve, our content, we intend it to be evergreen, meaning if it worked in, like 10, 20, 30 years ago, some of the same principles work today. For example, your business should generate more money than the income should be more than the expenses. And 1 + 1 was 2 50 years ago, and it's still going to be 2, generally speaking. So that's kind of how we look at our business, is just giving people a solution so that they can apply it to their business, and then the training will work for you, for this business, for the next business, and in the future. Now, having said that, what we do is when we go through the market research portion, we'll build all of the data. So we'll do research on the industry, and we'll look at your USP or your competitive advantage, what you want to offer, and the talents you're bringing to your business. And then we'll say, okay, let's design this line. Now we can take a look at the trends. And there's companies who we work with, we can connect you to, who that's all they do is trends. So they'll go out and they'll go to different places, different countries, research trends, and they'll do their own trend reports. They'll do reports on color. They'll do reports on silhouettes, and then also they'll kind of predict what they feel is going to be happening in each industry, whether it's kids, women, swimwear, streetwear. And so those companies, they present at the textile shows. There's a Los Angeles textile show. There's Premier Vision in New York and Paris. There's all different type of trade shows where people who are doing lines, designers, go and they shop resources. So that's something that it allows our business to continue to offer the solution in the way that we offer it, and then the companies can be different who we connect with. So there could be, one of the trend companies we worked with, they kind of merged with another one. So it doesn't affect us. We just change the resource for our customers, and then we say, okay, at this point, you can look at the trends and go, do your trend reports, and then come back to our program, which tells you how to, the sound design principles, which don't change. So that's another point when you guys are doing your business. If you want to do, if you want to sustain and you don't want to be, potentially out of business when the trends change, just take a look at, what you're offering and make sure that it stays current, and it doesn't like if you do spend a lot of money creating a whole campaign and a video based on a fast changing trend, and then you're going to have to keep ramping up and spending those dollars to make the changes. So that's what I would say on that. And some people don't use trends at all. They might, usually with when I worked for companies who did like women's contemporary or junior or streetwear, that stuff, it changes pretty quickly. If you're doing kids, the kids trends follow usually the junior market, so it's not as much of a thing. Or if you're doing certain products, like we've done products for maybe like accessories or Apple products, or certain backpacks or accessories where the trends aren't as quickly moving. So, I think and also in the research, you don't have to be someone who knows everything that's happening in the world. If you research the market, then you'll kind of see what's out there and what's happening. So hopefully that answers your question. The next one, what was it? What do you want to? What's your
Bruce, I'll jump back in here quick. We got about 3 minutes left, so I just wanted to let you know I'm here. And the question was, is your passion for clothing or is your passion for business?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so I would say my passion is for there's two parts to it. Like I love business, and I love all parts of business. I love the finance. I love the creative. I love the business where you can take all the different pieces and put them together and come up with a plan and a solution. So I would say that's really important. That's probably slightly over the clothing, but because I make furniture, and I like my goal is to do real estate as well, to invest in property and use my creativity to do design spaces. So I like that too. But fashion is really, that was my main medium, just for the simple reason of if you're going to have a skill, everyone needs clothing. Most of the civilized world, we wear clothing, and we live in property. So you've got real estate and you have clothing. The food I stay away from because I don't want to, that's kind of a risk. So I would say it's entrepreneurship and business. Fashion is definitely my main medium, but I also like music and the creative industry. So, but yeah, good question. I would rather be a business person and understand numbers and how to run it and marketing than be the world's greatest illustrator and sketcher and not know how to count 5 plus 5. So I thank you for your questions. I just wanted to close, if you can hit the last couple slides, how to contact us. So you can email info@apluspatterns.com, and it'll take you through that marketing funnel that I showed you. You'll get a questionnaire, and if you fill that out, you can go through the discovery video, and you'll also get some free gifts. No obligation. If you can just email that address too, and then if you want to ask any questions. I definitely want to help. I want to stay connected, and hopefully I get to meet you guys at some point. Logistically it didn't work out because we have a little bit of a crazy schedule right now. But I just want to leave you with one thing. Really, hopefully everyone's gotten at least one thing from what I said, and I just really want to encourage you at whatever level you are, wherever you came from. And I'm going to tell you something that my mom always told me, and I always encourage people with my content and whatever I tell them, and that one thing is that you can do anything you want to do. It's just, you just have to take one step. Maybe you're going inch by inch. You just have to keep moving forward. So I thank you for your time, and it's been great.
Let's give Bruce a big round of applause. Bruce, thanks a lot, man. Have a good rest of the night.
All right, you too. Take care.
Okay, talk to you later. Okay, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. I will see you in about 10 days.
Yes, sir. I'll see you in about 2 hours.
Are we getting a grade for asking those questions?
Yes.
I think I might have been gone the day that you told us.
It's in the syllabus, but basically, if you send me, if you go in, like I sent an email out with like a link for asking people questions. If I haven't done the grading yet, so if you do it now, you'll still get the grade for it. Okay? Hey. What's that? Oh, for attendance? Yeah, I you were late, but I got you. No problem. No problem.